Hey everyone, got a good one for you. What it means when a narcissist asks you for your input. It can mean a number of things, but regardless of what it means, let me tell you something more important than that. Ultimately, it really does not matter what you say, what you think, what you feel, because the majority of the time when narcissistic people get input from others, it is usually to validate themselves or to boost their ego or to boost their image, to look like they're doing the right thing, or to confirm in their mind that they have done something great and wonderful and beautiful, and the daisies should just sprout up right at their feet as they walk, and there should be unicorns and glitter and leprechaun parades and all that other bullshit, right? So understand that when you're asked for your input, you can give your input, and chances are you should, but don't expect it to mean anything. Don't expect it to carry any weight. Don't expect it, oh man, especially if you disagree, don't expect it to be taken to heart. Don't expect for your input to be the coming to Jesus moment for someone who is narcissistic. It's not. Okay? It is what it is, and it is anything and everything except placing value on your viewpoints, your perspective, your belief system. That is the one thing it is not. It is not there for you. It is not there for your validation. It is not there to show that maybe you do have value at all. None of that. It has zero benefits for you. You will have there's no chance of improving a situation most of the time. Yes, there are exceptions to every rule, because I see that in the comments. Well, but this one time and then this other time. Well, yes, there are always exceptions to the rules, right? But we live in a world of shades of gray, and this is a really, really dark shade of gray. Okay, it's not completely blacked out, but it's pretty damn dark. It's like a Java or mocha, I don't know. Anyways, it's a really, really dark shade of gray. Okay, you're not going to add anything. So keep your answers short. Gray rock, that kind of stuff. Don't expect anything. Don't expect your answer to go anywhere or to do anything. Now let me give a good example of this, okay? And I'm going to preface this by saying, yes, everybody has their own viewpoints and opinions of COVID, masks, all that stuff. We've established all of this. Nobody agrees, etc. I'm just saying, where I live personally, Harris County, Texas, is one of the hardest hit places in the nation. Between my wife and I, we have had 7 close people, just the close people, 7 die within the last year due to COVID. I had both my grandmothers die. I had a college friend die. My wife works at a assisted living facility. She had 4 of her favorite residents all die, and she had to watch them slowly die. 19 others got infected. She had several co-workers who ended up in the hospital. One ended up in intensive care, but recovered. My wife herself is a long hauler. So before people start chiming in on this, that, or the other about COVID and vaccines and all that, understand that is the reality that I live in. And I also acknowledge and understand and accept that 98% of the country does not have it as bad as we have it here. So just keep that in mind. Things are a little more intense where I live and in my life than everywhere else in the country and probably the world. Okay, so we'll lead with that. So the way we're doing school here is with virtual academy, that kind of stuff. Kids are staying home and remote learning. The schools have reopened. They reopened a long time ago, right before the fall, to say, hey, you know, we can do some limited classroom for kids that want to come back into the classroom, et cetera, et cetera. Well, my ex contacted me and said, how do you feel about Hayden going to school? And I said, absolutely not. Because, again, if you look at the data for Harris County, we were one of the epicenters of the nation. It was really bad. And I said, just the way I see it, and you're going to do whatever it is you want to do anyways. But it's October, and the cold and flu season is November to January. There is going to be a massive spike, and there was. I said, and so what you're doing is you are choosing to put our son at the highest level of risk at the worst possible time. And so my opinion is no, he should stay home. Well, but it's inconvenient and blah, 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 and it's just a nightmare to do all the virtual learning. It's like, great, he can come live with me. No, she's not going to do that either, right? So I know all these things, right? I know going into it that when she says, hey, what do you think about him going to school? I know that it doesn't really matter what I think. She's already got her mind made up. It's more along the lines of, here, let me tell you what it is I am about to do, whether you like it or not. And that's really what it comes down to. When they ask what you think about something, they don't really care about what you think. It's usually the first step in the parade of, let me walk all over you and your feelings and everything that you hold dear and care about, etc. Because none of that matters, because what matters is my life and the things that I want, right? So she says, well, you know, this, that, or the other. I said, look, I'm just telling you that you asked. This is probably going to put him at the highest possible risk imaginable for where we live. Do what you feel is best. I'm just saying, I'm not for it. I'm keeping my daughters home and in Katie Virtual Academy. She comes up with all this other, you know, reasons to explain it. Well, you know, the school's taking all these safety precautions and all this stuff. I was like, yeah, I don't care. It covered the entire planet within a single fiscal quarter. It went from China to the entire planet in under 3 months. It can cross school classrooms. I don't care who you are, okay? And so, no, I just don't agree with it. Well, of course, you know, I think it's a stupid idea. Well, of course, you can't say that without aggravating somebody, but whatever. And I left it at that, so she's done the whole virtual schooling. And sure enough, in Harris County, there was a massive, massive spike in cases. Thankfully, my son did not get sick, but a lot of students did. And so we're fortunate with that. Even at that, I'm not 100% sure if he did or didn't, because with my wife's job at a nursing home, we are at a very high risk profile because my wife works in a nursing home. Those are some of the hardest hit, most at risk places for not just residents, but also employees. And my wife is also Mexican, literally from Mexico, not just Hispanic, Mexican, which is also a really high risk category. And she did catch COVID, and it nearly put her in the hospital. So, but we have a very high risk profile for spread and to contract it. So I don't play around like that. I don't roll the dice. That's just me. Call me a sheeple, whatever. I don't care. I will bleat with glee and pride. So that's me. Well, so now that things are on the decline, and they have declined tremendously. It was my son's birthday more recently, and you know, I didn't see him on his birthday because at that time the caseload was still too high here. Things were too extreme here. And I explained, it's like, we can't do that. We cannot take that chance. So, no. When the caseload drops a little bit, then we'll do the birthdays. And so we did. It was about a month after. I took him for a little special birthday thing. And now here's the deal. Okay? Keep in mind that by the time I did his birthday, he had been going to in-person school for about 4 or 5 months. Okay? And so my ex says something along the lines of, whatever y'all do, just, you know, take him somewhere where there's not a lot of risk, not a lot of people, because you know, we've only had our first vaccines, we haven't had our second vaccines, you know, and all this and the other. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I picked up my son and I said, what do you want to do? And he's like, well, you know, whatever. I was like, no. I was like, I haven't seen you in a long time. We're doing whatever it is you want to do. And he says, I want to go to Main Event, which is one of these big party places. They have a little ropes course that goes up, you know, above everybody's heads. He's like, I've always wanted to do the gravity ropes at Main Event. I said, all right, great, let's go. Well, we went. Well, the ex was livid, and of course, I could care less, saying that, you know, you promised that you wouldn't do anything that was high risk, and you knew that we're almost fully vaccinated, and how dare you do that? And it's like, well, really, you made the choice to put him in school when the caseload was about to go through the roof, and I told you about all that, and it didn't seem to matter then. And so I just replied to the effect of, I don't remember my opinion ever mattering, so why should yours? Because at the end of the day, the Main Event, I mean, it's no more dangerous than going to school every day. And the case count was down enough where I felt it was safe enough. So there's that. So giant blind spot to hypocrisy. Okay. Well, so after all that is said and done, now she's fully vaccinated. So now apparently she has nothing to worry about. And I get this message from her the other day saying, hey, what are your thoughts on having our son vaccinated? Where have you been the last year? What do you think my opinion is? How do you think I feel about it? Like, yes. How do you feel about him getting vaccinated? Yes. What about Pfizer or Moderna? Yes. Okay. That's it. Why ask? Right? And so I've told you all of this to tell you this. I recognize that when she says, how do you feel about Hayden getting vaccinated when the vaccine first comes approved for children his age, she doesn't actually care how I feel about it. She doesn't care about any of the data or any of my reasons or any of the situations. She has only done that because to keep up the image of being, quote, the good mother. You know, I'm a good mother, you know, we share custody, you know, I always ask his father what he thinks about something, how he feels about it, etc. But that doesn't mean that she has to actually do any of it or respect any of it or listen to any of it, etc. And that's the fundamental difference. And this is what I want to leave you with. Recognize that anytime they ask you how you feel, what you think, etc., overwhelmingly, it is strictly for posturing purposes. And you should always, always remember that. Nothing you say or do can or will ever amount to anything with them. Just understand that. And you can be mad about it. You can be sad about it. You can cry about it. You can laugh about it. You can have any kind of feel however you feel. Feel however you want to feel about it. But just don't ever mistake the fact that you have the ability to change their mind or speak reason with them or anything like that, because you don't. You really don't. And it's better to understand. It's better to look at a carnivore for what it is, a carnivore. You know, whenever you go to the zoo, yes, they have all of these captive bred animals and, you know, the handlers and all that stuff. Even the handlers that work with the gorillas and all the dangerous animals for years upon years, they still keep themselves separated from the animals, right? Because they recognize that, hey, even though I've got a great relationship with this animal, I mean, shit, look at Siegfried and Roy. Or Roy, not Royd. Siegfried and Roy. Great relationships with their tigers. Years upon years upon years. Great relationships with tigers. Gets bit in the neck. Tiger had a bad day. So always just recognize what you're dealing with is a carnivorous animal that even at its gentlest or most gentle, etc., it's going to always have that potential. So always exercise a proper distancing and proper level of protection care. So Thank you very much. Please like, comment, or share. I'll see you guys on the next video.